Hey guys, it's Ian and welcome back to the second ever 1:400 scale model collection video on my channel. The last one of these that I did is a little over a year old now, so I think it's time for an update. My collection has grown significantly since then, and I've added a lot more exotic and unique models since the first collection video. So anyways, let's get into it. Anyways, we're going to jump in right here, starting off with the American Airlines models. And I put this one in here because they technically operate almost all of American's CRJ200s. So first up, we have this Air Wisconsin CRJ200 in their retro livery. We have the American Eagle CRJ700, the American Eagle E175, the American Mainline A320, the American Mainline 737-800, and then onto the American wide bodies, we have the American Airlines 787-8, and then the American Airlines 777-200LR. So, of course, I'm starting off with the OneWorld Members. So that was American Airlines. And for Alaska, I just have this Embraer E175. And then for Qatar, another OneWorld member, I have this A320-200 with the FIFA World Cup 2022 livery. It's kind of like in the back right there. It's not necessarily a special livery, but it does add a little bit of pizzazz. Then moving on to British Airways, we have this British Airways A321neo. And then we have the massive British Airways A380-800. Moving on to some SkyTeam members, we have my Delta fleet, which has the A220-100, the 737-900ER, and then the Flying Pencil, the 757-300. We then have this gorgeous ITA Airways A330-900neo, then the SAS A321neo, which just got moved over to SkyTeam because they left Star Alliance. And then on top of that, we have the Air France regionals, we have the E170 in the Hop livery, and then we have the E190 in the new livery. And for my US LCCs, we have my Southwest fleet with this 737-800 in the normal Heart 1 livery. Then we have the 737 MAX 8 in the Herbert D. Kelleher livery, also known as the Desert Gold Retro livery. We then have the JetBlue A321neo in a Mint Summer Night's Dream livery. Then moving on over here, we have the Spirit A321-200. The Sun Country 737-800 in the 40 Years of Flight Tide Pod livery, and then the Avelo 737-800, and finally the Breeze A220-300. And then moving on to some wide bodies that are not really acquainted with any airline alliances, we have this House livery 777-200LR. It's kind of broken right now, I'll get to that later. And then for my Middle Eastern carriers, we have this Etihad A350-1000, and then for Emirates, we have this 777-300ER in their older livery. And then we have the A380-800 in their gorgeous new livery. And for my Canadian carriers, we have this Porter E190 E2, and then we have this WestJet 737-700 in the older livery, as it does not have the leaf, it has whatever that box is. I'm sorry, I'm not really acquainted with their liveries. And then we have, this is of course starting off our Star Alliance members, we have this Canadian regional, Air Canada regional CRJ900. And for my United narrow-body fleet, we have this 737-700 in the Evo Blue livery. We also have this Evo Blue livery 737 MAX 8. Then in the back there, we have two 737 MAX 9s. The one on the left is in the Evo Blue livery. The one on the right is in the Continental Merger livery. And then we also have the A321neo. And then we also have another Flying Pencil, the 757-300. This one in the Evo Blue livery as well. My United wide-body fleet has also grown substantially. We first have this 777-200LR in the Star Alliance livery. We then have two new models, the 777-300ER in the Continental livery. And then we also have the Boeing 787-10 Dreamliner in the Evo Blue livery. And then moving on to my Lufthansa fleet, we're going to start over here with the regional aircraft. We first have the CRJ900. We then have the old color scheme E190. We then have two new color scheme A320neos. We then have the A340-300 in the new color scheme. Then we have the A350-900 in the new color scheme. And then over here in the old color scheme, we have this Boeing 747-8 Intercontinental. And just as some other European Star Alliance members, we have this Croatia Airlines A319. We also have this Aegean A320ceo. And while this is not a Star Alliance member, it is part of the Lufthansa group. This is the Discover Airlines A330-300 in the Eurowings Discover livery. I actually ordered the new livery Discover A330-300, so that will go right next to this when it arrives. And for my cargo aircraft, we first have this ANA Cargo 777 Freighter. This is in the Interactive series. for JC Wings. This is my first interactive model, really like it. For UPS, I have the Boeing 757-200, we have the MD-11, and then we of course have the 747-8. We then have the FedEx 767-300 ERF, and then I don't know where else to put this, so I put it here. We have the KC-135 in the Pennsylvania Air National Guard livery. And as a nice little row of 747s, we have this Western Global Airlines 747-400 BCF, which means it was a passenger aircraft, now it's a freighter aircraft. We then have this Cargo Lux Boeing 747-400 ERF in the retro livery. And finally, for this video, we have the Boeing 747-400 LCF, also known as the Dreamlifter. But yeah, that is my entire 1/400 scale model airplane collection. I've grown it to about 60 since last year's video, and I definitely have added more in terms of European airlines and the foreign wide bodies. I can't say I have any favorites, as I like all of them, which is kind of why I get them in the first place. But I do have a few that have some personal value, one of which is the Cargo Lux Retro Livery 747 Freighter, which is the first 747 I ever got on camera at the beginning of my plane spotting career, if you want to call it that. I saw this one land at Chicago O'Hare, which is the airport I grew up around. And since I flew on Yankee Sierra and Yankee Lima last summer as my first ever 747 flights, this Lufthansa 747-8 represents those memories. And then the first ever model in 1/400 scale I got was actually this house livery Boeing 777-200LR. I promised it had an engine when I got it. A family friend who actually works for Boeing gave me this as a gift, and I suppose you could say it sparked my passion for collecting. There are for sure some new airlines in this collection video, such as Air France's regional subsidiary HOP, as well as some others like Etihad, Qatar, ITA, and Sun Country. Anyways everyone, that is going to conclude collection video number 2. I haven't sorted out when the next one will be, but it will probably be around this time next year. As always, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and until next time, fly safe.
Please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened.